Hello and welcome to the Falling Apart podcast 90 plus 15 instant reaction to the Leeds QPR game where we won 2-0. You've got Sam, Jim and Tom today. Myself and Jim have both just got back from the game where we were in the South Stand. I did have a little bit prepared because Tom wasn't meant to join and I was going to say that he was otherwise engaged, aka under the thumb, but now I can't say that because he is unfortunately looking at me. What I can still say is Ricardo is still in China, and I think he messaged at 20 to 2 to say that he had 9 gins and 4 glasses of wine. So I'm guessing he is passed out somewhere. However, he has apparently recorded something, and if it is not offensive, I will play it. Tom, you were going to come in and I'm hoping slag Ricardo off.
I was. However, he did stay up till 2 a.m. China time to try and jump on, and I think that what he's recording might be offensive towards you and only you, not to the listeners.
I'm fine. I could play that then, as long as it's not offensive to any nations, anything else.
Hello, everybody. It's Ricardo here. It's 1:45 in the morning, China time, and I've been waiting for over an hour for the instant reaction to the Leeds versus QPR game, where Leeds won 2-0. And we promised all of our listeners that we would give an instant reaction, but yet 60 minutes later, Sambo and Jimbo are still, frankly, fucking around without due care and consideration to you, the listeners, and also to me. So I'm going to just leave this message. They'll either include it or they won't. What I would say, it was a dominant performance by Leeds. I only listened to it on LUTV Live. I couldn't watch it. My only slight critique is that they're so dominant, but they only managed to score a second goal in the 5th minute of extra time. That's my précis for you. The boys are going to come on in a minute. They're fucking tossing it around instead of giving you what you deserve, which is an instant reaction. This is the second game in a row where it's been delayed. Frankly, the second game in a row where I haven't been there to make sure they keep in line. Okay, so I apologise and I hope we'll do better next time. Love you all.
So, Tom, conscious you were at the game. What I would say is we will definitely take 3 points, but I feel like it was slightly underwhelming. I'm going to go to Jim first to get your take.
Yes, underwhelming's definitely a good way to describe it, to be fair. I think also the biggest thing is like the atmosphere in there in the South Stand today was just absolutely dreadful. There was like a couple of periods where we started chanting Champions of Europe, and that sort of got us going a little bit in the second half. But other than that, I'll be honest, it was very Liverpool-esque, where you sing the song at the start of the game and then you could hear a pin drop for the rest of it. And I think that's probably because of what we were seeing on the pitch. It's just relatively dull, wasn't it, without any real excitement. But 2-0's 2-0, I guess. 3 points again, isn't it?
Exactly. And I know, kind of getting to brass tacks, that's what matters. But it's felt kind of the last few games, so the Millwall game and the Plymouth game, I appreciate obviously we got 3 goals against Plymouth, but it's felt kind of similar where we have loads of chances and then it's just on the day, if we convert them, then we'll win. If we don't convert them, then we're either going to draw or lose. And it felt like that today. And I know if you actually look at the stats, and I will come on to the stats, but it looks super comfortable. But actually, I never really felt that today. I felt like this could always go down to last few minutes, 1-1, and you walk away with a draw. But yeah, it's just a bit samey, I would say.
I think looking at a lot of the stats and everything, and I did manage to catch some on the visual radio. We missed a lot of chances again, didn't we? We had a lot of the ball, created a lot. I mean, the first goal that Bogle scored, we could have scored 3 in that same space. We missed, and it's worrying. And I think if you wouldn't have seen it, but it panned to Farke. It didn't pan, obviously, this is what they said on the visual radio, that he basically was like, he said unbelievable. Because it's like, we can't seem to take chances. We're not clinical enough at all. And let's put it into perspective. They've gone bottom of the league.
Yeah.
So they're not promotion chasing side. They're a side that we should have been extremely comfortable. And I watched a bit of Sky Sports where they went to the game, and they said that the crowd were getting a little bit angsty because we'd created so many chances but not killed the game.
Yeah. I think Aronson rattled the bar, didn't he, in the first half? That was a decent chance. Then after that, to be honest, I know it looks like we had a load of different chances, but it was just a lot of possession away from the goal, albeit there were some real standout performances for me, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a minute.
We will. Let's start with the goals though. So 19 minutes gone, Jayden Bogle's goal. I was super happy that Jayden Bogle scored because he was getting a little bit of stick. He had a few hairy moments where I think he put the ball out of play inadvertently, and I was cheering him on. So I was very happy when he got the goal. But in my notes, I've put pinball because I didn't think, obviously, there was lots of wild swings at it, and thankfully it came to Bogle. I wouldn't say it was the cleanest of strike from Bogle either. It was almost a bit of a scuff shot, but it went where it needed to go. So, yeah, Jim, what was your take?
I mean, let's go back to the start of that. So when the ball comes over, for starters, if Solomon gets out of the way, Nonto's scoring that straight away. I don't know, for someone who's 5'2" to feel like he can get his leg up 9 foot in the air to try and volley it when you've got Nonto, who is going to be on a plate for him, was a strange decision for me. And then, yeah, the pinball started, it looped up, and luckily, I think I said this recently, that we have actually had the odd ball bounce for us in our favour for once, which we've not really been able to say over the last few seasons. Landed with Bogle and the whole scuff, not a scuff. He lifted it, which is what he needed to do, didn't he?
Definitely. And then in the highlights, it didn't show, but there was an offside goal where the whole stadium thought we scored, and then obviously gave QPR fans a chance to have a go at us. But they didn't show that in the highlights, so I'm assuming it must have been a clear offside. Otherwise, they would have, I'm sure, shown that. And then obviously there was lots of chances for us, but then the next goal from 19 minutes to 90 plus 5 minutes. And
I thought this was called 90 plus 15.
Yeah, thank you for that shit joke. So 90 plus 5 is when Joel Piroe scored, and it was nice to see that Schmidt got an opportunity. It was Schmidt's pass to Piroe on the edge of the box. Piroe kind of knocks it almost like a through ball to himself, and then I would say, Tom, and you're going to like this word, a little deft left foot over the keeper.
Well, it was outside of the boot, weren't it? And
I'd say deft, yeah.
It was a deft outside of the boot finish, to be fair, and I think we'll probably come on to this as well, but it begs the question, doesn't it? If we think back to a couple of opportunities that we had, we were speaking about this during the game, but there was a couple of times when we broke down the wing and the ball across the box was bread and butter stuff. It was absolutely perfect, to the point where there was absolutely no defender there. If we just had a man a little bit further forward, we'd have had 2 easy goals at least from them crosses across the box. The issue is that, obviously, Joseph's more of a link-up man than an out-and-out fox in the box, like what Piroe seems to be. That finish was brilliant. It was a really good finish.
Definitely. I was just going to come on to match stats. So I was thinking, like, this isn't fucking helping, Tom. Yeah, thanks, Jim. I'm just going to come on to match stats because I actually got the half one stats and then the half two stats because it felt like we were more dominant in the first half versus the second half. But actually, when you compare them, we had 68% possession in the first half, 69% possession in the second half. We had 2 shots on target first half, 4 shots on target second half. So I'd say it's pretty samey. So overall, we had 6 shots on target to their 0. We had 4 shots off target to their 4, 69% possession to their 31, 7 corner kicks to their 1. So yeah, again, the stats very similar to the past few games. On paper, shows that we've dominated the game. But again, and as Tom said, a QPR team that are bottom of the league, I think they had something like 9 first teamers out. They didn't look terrible, and I think we probably made them look good at some points throughout that game. I feel like we're being super negative, though, after a 2-0 win, and we're moved into second place into the automatic promotion places. So, yeah, we probably need to cheer it up. Tom?
I think that it's one of those games at the end of the season, it's 3 points on the board, and you won't even remember it. And as long as it counts at the end of the season, that's all that matters. But I think Jim put into the group, and I'm sure I'll give him this to let everyone know the stat that I sent in. But it's not exciting. I think that's what's killing the atmosphere as well.
Yeah, we were speaking about this in the South Stand, and there's no point, if you're not comparing apples with apples, there's no point comparing Bielsa to Farke because they're 2 completely different managers. But if we think about the style of football, what we did have during that period is we had excitement on the pitch with certain players. If we think back to the likes of Rafinha, and I know, albeit it's Premier League, so naturally we're probably not going to have that level of excitement. In the Championship, it just doesn't feel like there's that individual or individuals on the pitch who's going to have 4, 5, 6 moments of brilliance throughout a game. They'll have moments of brilliance, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting them down at all. But that's the type of thing that gets the atmosphere and the fans going and gets the chants going and everyone sort of off the seats a little bit more. It just feels like there's not necessarily enough of that at the minute. It's a lot of possession-based football in like central of the park areas and a lot of really good players, but maybe just not that like real joker of the pack who can sort of spark something into the crowd. It just seems a little bit weird. But like you said, Sam, I don't think this is a negative pod from us at all. It's just basically the current state of affairs, isn't it? I can see us going potentially through this season, carry on like the way we're going, we should get promoted. But it's probably going to be one of them promotion seasons where there's not going to be a huge amount of moments of excellence that we're going to remember. It's just going to be these type of performances, I think.
Not to add any more negativity, but I guess a negative question for you, Jim. We get promoted to the Premier League. How long does Farke last?
It's almost like you had the walk back up to the car with me and Sam. I don't know if you two have spoke before this.
I don't really like him, so we don't speak.
Okay, fine. That makes sense because we don't see you anymore either. Yeah, we were speaking about this, Tom, and basically that's the $1 million question. I don't think it's easy to answer that, to be honest. But I did say to Sam on the way back to the car that if we do go up, I think we'll buy really smartly with the ownership that we've got. We'll buy some good players. But if we play the way that we are playing, considering we're struggling to really shine against teams like QPR, etc., I feel as though it could be an early bath for Farke, potentially, who knows, six months into a season. It all depends, doesn't it?
The other thing that was mentioned around us in the South Stand was that Farke can be very predictable. And I know he mentioned this in his presser around, he's not a flag in the wind, he doesn't sway because something's changing. But we said in the South Stand, he's going to make a change on 70 minutes, even though I think the game probably deserved a change a little earlier. He's going to make a change on 70 minutes. 70 minutes, 30 seconds gone. He makes 2 changes. And then we said, in 10 minutes, he's going to make a change. 81 minutes, he makes a change again. It's very predictable. But again, I'll just say, caveat, he won the game 2-0.
Yeah.
It's worked from a Farke perspective. So, Jim.
I think the big thing is we predicted the subs, but we also predicted the players. So it's worth having that. We said exactly who was going to come off and who was going to come on.
Yeah.
And I think we even said, didn't we, we were speaking, we need to get Piroe on because we need something a little bit clinical.
Yeah.
So basically, I feel like we could probably go onto the touchline and be the management of Leeds United.
Could you do his accent?
Well, no.
Okay. Just before we get on to man of the match, the only other observation I wanted to talk about was, I feel like, again, this is negative. I'm trying to put a positive spin on this. No, I can't. Solomon and Joseph versus James and Piroe. And probably more Solomon versus James, I would say. But again, he doesn't inspire me like I thought he was going to. I don't know, Tom, if you've got a take on Solomon's performance today.
Meh. It's been very similar every time he's played. I think the first time we saw him, we all thought that he was going to absolutely tear the league apart. And since that injury's come back, and I don't know whether he's not fit or what it is, but he hasn't really done a lot. And Dan James it must be a fitness issue, or just didn't want to run his legs too much with the hamstring issue that he's had, because you just wouldn't have made that swap if there wasn't something. And I know that Farke's come out and said he wanted to get minutes into the legs of Solomon wasn't inspiring.
I've got a little take on that. Farke did come out after the game actually and say that it was all about getting a little bit of confidence back into Solomon. Wanted to give him some minutes and give him a little bit of chance to gain some confidence back. So maybe he's struggling a little bit with that due to the injury. But I think I don't really see it as much of a debate, to be honest, Sam. I feel like if they're both fully fit right now, you start with James.
Definitely. And then just quickly on Joseph, again, he kind of reminds me, and you're going to shout at me for this, but he kind of reminds me of like a Paddy Bamford back in the Championship days when he was pretty good. Does a lot of chasing down, comes deep quite often. But again, it's just that you bring Joel Piroe into there. If he gets a chance, it's more than likely going to end in the back of the net.
I don't think anyone would really shout at you for saying that, because he drops deep. So we're just watching Tom open a beer now, by the way, everyone. So he drops deep, He sort of links up the play a little bit. He tries holding the ball up really well. But while he does a great job at that, what that then means is, coming back to one of my earlier comments, it leaves a real gap at the top. So in their sort of 6 to 10 yards within their goal line, where we potentially miss opportunities. And we saw it when Piroe came on. His movement, it wasn't too far outside the 6-yard box, was it? And he slotted one home. So, yeah, it's definitely something to think about for Farke, how he makes that work, because I don't really think the Joseph thing's working in terms of making sure we've got someone up top to finish them chances.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to some more positive performances then. So, man of the match. I'm going to give you 4 players you're allowed to pick from. You're not allowed to go outside of this. I would say it's got to be between Byram, Bogle, Aronson and Rothwell.
I would say that's Bogle's best game in a Leeds United shirt. I think, especially going forward, he looked like a prime Cafu. So I would say that he deserves the nod, not only for the goal, but I think for everything that he did. He looked very dangerous. So for me, it'd be... I'm interested to say that you didn't say Tanaka in there, Sam, as well, because I thought he had another good game. I know Jim's shaking his head, so obviously he didn't have a good game.
Tanaka, he's raised his performance so much that kind of now get into the man of the match, he has to go even further, I would say. So it's almost slightly unfair to Tanaka, but yeah, he didn't kind of shine like he usually does. What I'd say is Bogle and Byram both had really good games. And Byram, I think, Jim, you said he's 51 or something during the game, but he's still getting forward. I'd say like an older Cafu, Tom, you'd be pleased to know, and still kind of linking up and making plays, etc. So I think both of them did really well. But Bogle, when he gets the ball, he does really drive forward and takes it past players with ease.
And I just say that clearly Tom's had one too many of them beers to be calling Bogle a prime Cafu or whatever you call them. So I appreciate the idea of it, Tom, but yeah, I won't go as far as that.
A prime Gary Neville.
Yeah, okay, go on then. I think he did have a good game, to be fair. And I think Byram on his Zimmer frame also had a good game. But I've got to give it to Rothwell for the usual reasons, to be honest. When we need someone to grab the ball, get his head down and drive forward, he did that in the first half, which I think led to the goal. And honestly, he looked like he was just going to go the whole way on his own. He took on about 2 or 3 players, cut it back across, and we ended up scoring.
Okay, so I think, Jim, you're going to go for Rothwell then. I'm going to pick Bogle, and I think, Tom, you're picking. Bogle gets our man of the match from 2-1. Just to end the pod then, just to look out to the table and some of the other championship fixtures that have happened over the last couple of days. So I suppose the most pertinent ones for us will be Sunderland. They dropped points from a 2-0 lead with an 84th and 90th minute equaliser for Coventry. Good news. I think Watford have moved into 4th. They beat Oxford 1-0 last night. So the other notable result from today is Middlesbrough moving up into the playoffs after beating Luton 5-1. And obviously we play Luton in a couple of games' time. And then the other teams around us, so Sheffield United, they've got the Sheffield Derby tomorrow against Wednesday, and Burnley are at home to Swansea City. But as I said at the start, Leeds have moved up to 2nd on 29 points, 2 points behind Sunderland, but now with 1 better goal difference. So, yeah, it feels like we've been a little bit negative just because it's been a bit samey for the last few games, but the table doesn't lie and we are right up there. Any final remarks from any of you? Tom, what I would say is the way that you opened that bottle of beer was very smooth.
Yes, I've got a lot of practice.
I'll just finish it on Sam as well. We're going up as fucking champions.
Excellent. So thank you for listening. I'm sorry it's going to be a little bit longer than the 15 minutes we normally promise you, but hopefully you find that enjoyable. If you do, you can follow us at Falling Apart Pod. Tom?
All one word.
Excellent. We will be back next Friday with the main pod. Thank you for listening.
Goodbye.